Good day. Welcome to another edition of Ibmo Amungo's Perspective on Global Affairs, the X Review edition. Before I continue, I urge you to please press the like button. And if you're new to this show, I also urge you to subscribe. We're a few days off of the second coming of the Oreshnik, and there's still a lot of fallout from it. And in this particular video, I am starting with an interview by no less a person than the mayor of Lvov, the city that was particularly attacked. And Lvov Mayor Andrei Sodovy says that the impact of the Oreshnik missile strike on critical infrastructure was horrible, but it would have been a totally different scale had it been carrying a warhead. He also says the hypersonic missile did not show up on any radar and that Ukraine has nothing to counter this kind of weapon. Indeed, the whole of Europe has nothing to counter this weapon with. NATO does not have anything like it. America does not have anything like it because it's a new weapon system, intermediate range ballistic missile. And they were banned at once for a while, but now the Russians have it because the Americans came off of that treaty that banned them. So the mayor here, after reviewing the damages to the
30 хвилин.
After reviewing the damages to the infrastructure, the gas infrastructure particularly, came out and said that it was a weapon that had no warhead, and they were lucky that they didn't have anywhere. The destruction would have been by far worse. So we got to see how very destructive this weapon is. Anyway, going on to the next story here now. There's a big description of the Oreshnik here by Sputnik. So it has a range of 5,500 kilometers, and it has a warhead, 1.5 ton warhead. That's a huge warhead. The speed is 2.5 to 3 kilometers per second. And then the temperature of re-entry is 4,000 degrees centigrade. Very hot. Anyway, there's no doubt about what capability this weapon system has. And Kirill Dmitriev, we know him. He was responding to a tweet by Kaya Kalas, and he says that she doesn't understand. Kaya Kalas was saying, this is the tweet that she was responding to. He says Kaya Kalas is not very bright or knowledgeable, but even she should know that there are no defense systems against the Oreshnik hypersonic Mark 10 missile. Because Kaya Kalas had said in this particular speech, yes, the EU countries must dig deeper into their air defense stock and deliver now. We must also further raise the costs for Moscow, including through sanctions. So she was actually talking about how they need more air defense systems to protect Ukraine. It just is not going to happen. This is the big news here. This is a very cryptic news that made me choose to use this thread. And it says that the Iranian state media releases video showing a miniature nuclear warhead with a caption, maybe. If this really is true, because I don't speak Iranian, so I can't really tell. But let's understand the context here. Iran, for several years, had said that they don't want a nuclear warhead. They don't want a nuclear weapon. But they've always maintained that they had a right. They had the right to enrich uranium for medical purposes. First, they enriched to 3%, then they enriched to 20%, and then they now showed the capacity to enrich to 60%. And then over time, the Israelis have been very insistent that that program for enrichment should be stopped. And they procured the support of America. They bombed Natanz, they bombed Fordo, and they bombed Isfahan, the nuclear enrichment sites that displaced that the Iranians are cooperating with the International Atomic Energy Agency to monitor the activities there. Unfortunately, after bombing those facilities, they have gone dark, and there was still 400 kilograms of enriched uranium that the Iranians had. And this is now a point where some experts, Ted Pedestal particularly had said that it doesn't take more than a week for the Iranians to be able to have a weapon. And in fact, recently, it emerged that the Iranians are saying that they can have that weapon in 24 hours. They may just already have the weapon. So this is a big statement. If Iran does have nuclear weapons, they have been quiet about it. There's a fatwa by the Ayatollah preventing them from having the nuclear weapon. But if they eventually do have a nuclear weapon now, it changes the whole reality in the Muslim world and in the Middle East there. As at now, the only Muslim country that has a nuclear capability and nuclear warheads is Pakistan, and they're already edging with that, becoming like a shield and a defensive partner for most of the Muslim countries, particularly Saudi Arabia. And we also hear now that Turkey wants to be part of that arrangement with Saudi Arabia. So if Iran does have it, they've always had the capability and the ability to produce it. They now, if they transit into owning it, that simply means that all the threats by Israel and America may just have to stop. As we saw what happened in North Korea. You don't want to trifle with or find out what Iran can do, particularly as Iran has shown us that they do have delivery systems. And recently also, we now hear that the Iskander missile has been shipped to Iran. Maybe that is the Iskander missile may be a delivery system for the Iranians. When if the Iranians can produce this and can produce hypersonic missiles and all their ballistic missiles, there's no doubt that they can have a delivery system that can threaten Israel. And that may just be something that will just mean that there will be no further posturing between them. Anyway, Marjorie Taylor Greene, the entire Venezuelan narrative is not working. People are saying, wait a minute, I thought MAGA was America first. If it's okay to go to Venezuela and arrest Maduro, then we are telling China you can't go and take Taiwan. Yeah, this Marjorie Taylor Greene became, she converted from being a staunch MAGA supporter to being a critic of President Trump. And President Trump used his power to push her out of Congress. She has resigned and she still remains a critic. Now she's a critic, but she was a big supporter of President Trump. But she criticizes the moves he makes now, essentially since he was voted under the Make America Great mantra, and most of the actions she criticizes, particularly those actions in the Middle East were the ones that made Trump to label her a traitor and push her out of the Republican Party, in fact, out of the Congress. Anyway, something very serious happened in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Unfortunately, one person was shot and killed, a lady, by ICE agents. And it has sparked a lot of demonstrations across several cities in America. And just in, thousands of leftists chant Kristi Noem will hang in the middle of New York City. And Elon Musk says, wow, because the reaction that came off of this shooting was has been very visceral. It was a very brutal shooting. Point blank, a lady was killed, and it has created a big riot. Minnesota, we should remember, is where we had the Black Lives Matter marches, and following the killing of I forget his name, but he also sparked a lot of demonstrations all over America there. Anyway, going on to the next story. One is an predictable liar with nuclear weapons. The other is Kim Jong-un. Well, this one says that she's a critic specializing in humoristic geopolitical analytics, exposing hypocrisy and attritional satire. Yeah. So Kim Jong-un and President Trump, he tried to make a deal with President Trump. Trump likes him. Trump visited him, and Trump tried to reset America's relationship with North Korea. But the neocons back in America gave him a tough time. They used the media against that move. And that was in his first term when he was the 45th president of America. That move to go and visit Kim Jong-un in South Korea was lambasted. And this time he has actually indicated that he would like to meet the Korean president again. But I think the Koreans have moved on. Nobody trusts America. Nobody trusts this particular president anymore. He flip-flops, and for that reason, his foreign policy is one that has left a lot of distaste in people who is saying he's doing peace with. And actions in Elections in Venezuela and across the world may just mean that people have just weary of having an engagement with him. Today, the Council's decision to support the EU-Mercosur deal is historic. Europe is sending a strong signal. We are serious about creating growth, jobs, and securing the interests of European consumers and businesses with Mercosur. We are creating a shared market of 700 million people and so many new opportunities. Ursula von der Leyen has been pushing for this deal between the EU and the Mercosur. Mercosur is the South American regional free trade organization, and EU, we know it's also a common. They have so the EU has been looking for this deal, but it's not particularly popular all over. I think the deal somehow compromises the situation of farmers across Europe. They are really worried. They've been protesting in Germany, in Poland, in Greece, all over all of the EU territories have had farmers protesting because they feel very unsure of their ability to compete with the European with the South American um, farmers or agricultural products. So it's not particularly something everybody likes. France has held off approving it, and even Italy has also held off approving it. We see Polish farmers protesting, we see Greek farmers protesting. Even in the UK, there are farmers protesting. So this is not a done deal. Goldman Sachs is not too happy. There's oil pessimism as early as, what does this say? It says as early as 2026, 60% of clients are outright bearish on oil, the highest level since at least 2016. Slight bearish views dominate the rest, pushing negative sentiments. These are people who vote with their money. So you will know that when they take a view that the oil industry is not in a good place now, you would want to think so. But President Trump is trying to strengthen it. He wants to take half of the whole of the oil in Venezuela. That, by the reckoning of some people, will give America 50% of all the oil capacity in the world. They also are trying to control, have deals with Syria, have deals with better relationship with the Middle East, so they can influence the oil market in the Middle East. But it won't happen because the Middle Eastern countries also know that America has one intent alone, and that's to dilute oil prices and that will not work with their budgets. So even though they have good relationship with America, they may just be worried about their own budgets, and we'll continue to watch this space. The oil industry is in a flux now, especially as there's tensions going on between Russia. Russia, we should mind, is one of the three leading oil producers in the world, and their oil will be offline. And there's just a lot of confusion, and this is what Goldman Sachs is telling all of his clients, that they're not very, very strong on this sentiment of oil. Let's move on to the other story now. And President Trump had a meeting with oil executives, and this is just, we are talking about oil, and he had a meeting with oil executive. I think I missed a story here. This one will be from the Chancellor of. We are deeply concerned about reports of violence in Iran's security forces and condemn the killing and demonstrators. Emmanuel Macron, at Stama, and I call on Iranian authorities to refrain from violence and to uphold the fundamental rights of the Iranian citizens. Yes, these demonstrations in Iran is going back and forth. They have a lot of rioters now in some cities, and then they also have demonstrators in support of the government. But the Ayatollah has come out and said that it is a plot by those who want to destabilize the country. They are trying to listen to the threats by President Trump. Anyway, they are dealing with it. They are dealing with these particular issues. But to see that the three countries, the three E's, as they call themselves, France, Britain, and Germany, weighing in on what's going on in Iran. We should remember that the three E's are the ones that put snapback sanctions against Iran, and Iran decided not to respect it. China decided not to respect it, and Russia decided not to respect it. Iran is really cooking up for something now. They feel that they will be attacked soon, and they're getting ready. Anyway, President Trump is saying that if it weren't for him, Russia and China would have already occupied Venezuela and Greenland.
Doing something with Greenland either the nice way or the more difficult way. Again, just like Greenland, we can't have China or Russia occupy Greenland. We can't have China or Russia occupy Venezuela. And if we didn't do what we did, China or Russia would have been in Venezuela. If you take a look outside of Greenland
this is what pure geopolitics is, and they call it now Donroe Doctrine, not no more the Monroe Doctrine. President Trump uses the excuse of the fact that he's realizing he's the first president in America to realize that the world has really changed. It's a multipolar world now. Russia has its own sphere of influence. China has its own extensive sphere of influence, and he believes that the Russians would have made a move for Greenland. And he's using that as justification. If not the Russians, maybe the Chinese. We have not seen any form of aggression by China in its long 2,000-year history. China has never been known, even when they had the world's largest maritime assets and ships. They just didn't have this inkling to go into other countries and attack them. Yes, there's a big storm going on, but we should not miss the main story here now. He says he's going to have Greenland by every means necessary, whether by negotiation or by military means. This meeting was one that brought up a lot of nuggets. This is a very controversial meeting. There's a lot of talk still going on about this, the fallout from this meeting. According to Moscow City Hall, services have mobilized 130,000 workers and more than 15,000 vehicles after over 60% of January average snowfall fell in just 24 hours. Snow cover has reached 12 inches and may increase further to 65 centimeters with ongoing delays and cancellations at Moscow airport. Snowmageddon, it's a very big snowfall in Moscow area. It's a once in a century thing. One of these events that define and create confusion as to the erratic behavior of the climate these days. These are all the events that led to activists talking about climate change. It hit Moscow really hard, and the Moscow authorities are now moving towards rectifying it. We have here more than 300,000 Ukrainian men of conscription age may be deported from Germany in the event of absence or loss of resident permit. Germany is beginning to have a big problem with the Ukrainian community, refugee class there, because Chancellor Merz has actually told President Zelensky to control the influx of refugees into Germany. Germany is now in a state where they are beginning to feel the strain on their economy and the benefit system, especially for many refugees from Ukraine, a large percentage of whom don't work and survive and subsist mainly on the benefits they get from the German state. Chancellor Merz already has prioritized military buildup, and he has already started to say that it will be very necessary to cut down on benefits. And obviously, the Ukrainians are a big strain on their social budget. Anyway, what is happening also is that quite a lot of Germans are beginning to be feeling resentful that large amounts of Ukrainians don't work and collect parity benefits that are par with Germans who work very hard and contribute to the national purse. And it is these arguments that's making parties like AFD to surge in the polls. So Chancellor Merz is actually working on doing something about it. What do we have here? The thread just suddenly just disappeared. Where did it go to? Yeah, we're back here again. It says emerging. It is emerging that Oreshnik targeted the area adjacent to Lvov airport. According to the city mayor, the damage and destruction were horrendous, and the city was only spared because the warheads were unloaded. This is actually what is now coming up on what we're now getting. The Ministry of Defense of Russia actually said, they didn't talk about any gas plant. They said what they had attacked was a drone manufacturing facility. And this drone manufacturing facility, as we have come to learn, is based very deep underground, and it is from there that the Ukrainians are building a lot of all those drones that they use in attacking Russia now. And because the facilities are deep underground, it's very hard to reach. And that was the main target. What we also are beginning to get, as some people are speculating, is that because the gas facility was not too far off, the shockwave was probably what triggered off well, cut-off mechanisms, with protective cut-off and safety mechanisms within the gas plant, and that's what's causing the gas shortage in Kyiv now. Nevertheless, this is still pain for the Ukrainians, anyhow you look at it. This is what we were just talking about. Roscosmos Space Agency captures how Snowmageddon came to Russia. Cyclone Francis has brought abnormal precipitation to Moscow. This is a very frightening picture. It's almost hurricane class. You deal with weapons, you deal with weather, you deal with so many things. We should remember weather does play a significant part in geopolitics. Weather is very crucial to wars. Weather changes and shapes many historical realities as we see them. The first Nobel Peace Prize was awarded in December of what has happened here. The first Nobel Peace Prize was awarded in December 10, 1901. In all these 124 years, they have never had an issue of statement for Nobel Peace Prize cannot be revoked, shared, or transferred until a corrupt, demented circus clown took office. Yeah, it seems like President Trump is not happy that they did not give him this Nobel Peace Prize. They gave it rather to the Venezuelan activist, the opposition leader there, Maria Corina Machado, and President Trump is insisting that they should rescind it and bring it to him. I think this is what this tweet is all about. Anyway, let's move on. Breaking, Argentina has fully repaid the billions they got from the United States in the currency swap orchestrated by Scott Bessent. They only ended up using 2.5 billion of the 20 billion provided by the Treasury Department. This is interesting news. I don't know how true this is, but Argentina has been in big financial straits. And one of the things now that the Trump administration is using to win South and Latin American countries to its side is that they will help them ease their economic pains, or at least not pressure them. Many of them are under sanctions of one form or the other, and better relationship with America. America continues to promise. Milei is someone who moved away from the grain. He moved away, and he's very close to America. Argentina was moving towards China. The last administration had big deals with the Chinese, but Milei has moved them and reset them and faced completely towards America. They're good friends of America, and America really trusts him, and they supported him with this facility just a few months ago. So this is quite a surprise, but it was about $40 billion then. So it will be a surprise if they paid it off, but we'll get more information going forward. Global Times, in the media, in response to media inquiry about the latest claims by the US President Donald Trump regarding Taiwan question, in an interview with the New York Times, in which he claimed that if China attempts to change the status quo in Taiwan during his term, he will be very unhappy. Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Mao Ning said on Friday press briefing that Taiwan is an inalienable part of China's territory. Taiwan question is purely China's internal affairs, and resolving it is a matter of the Chinese people, broking no external interference. The issue of Taiwan is the one issue everybody feels will lead to a war between America, or at least the West, and China. China has been very, very hawkish about getting back Taiwan, and they have said it. In fact, Xi Jinping made it in the main point of his New Year's speech that Taiwan and the China will be reunited. The reunification of China, as they see it, and Taiwan is very important to the Chinese, and it is a live wire topic for them. Sanae Takaichi, the Japanese prime minister, found out the hard way. She made something about coming to Taiwan's support if there was an attack by China. She said that it would be an existential threat to Japan, and for that reason, the Chinese came down heavy on Japan. That relationship is still fractured even till now. Krilo Bodinov has now become very active on social media for one simple reason. He's now the head of the administration of the Zelensky presidential office. And yesterday they received the United Kingdom Defense Minister, John Haley. He was there when all that attack was taking place, and he saw it, he witnessed it. So now we see Krilo Bedinov now. He has been placed very close to the president, and he has become quite visible on social media. He was the head of the military intelligence, so he tended to be very more secretive about his activities, but suddenly now I think he's been prepared for a political position. So this is what he says. He said, "It's a pleasure to welcome a trusted friend of Ukraine, the United Kingdom Secretary of State for Defense, John Haley. At the meeting chaired by the president of Ukraine, he didn't even put his name, the president's name. We had a firm position and words of support from Ukraine's strategic partner. I provided an update on the latest enemy strikes on Ukrainian civilian facilities, which bear all the hallmarks of systematic war crimes. The free world must respond effectively. We discussed mechanisms for the step-by-step implementation of security guarantees from the United Kingdom. We are preparing joint actions and decisions to strengthen Ukraine's defensive capabilities." I can say this. If Ukraine is depending only on UK and the Europeans, then their ship will sink very fast. It is a sinking ship, and it is for reasons like this, because of systems like this. Ukraine has confirmed that the missile which struck Lvov region traveled at approximately 13,000 kilometers per hour on a ballistic flight path. Based on its speed and trajectory, officials say the strike strongly suggests the use of Oreshnik intermediate range ballistic missile, reportedly equipped with MEV. This is not news. We already know this already, but let's just watch this production of the Oreshnik. That weapon system will definitely ruin anybody's day. We have a few set of videos now, so maybe we should just be selective as to what we may get. Let's skip to this one here now. It says Russia Aerospace Forces destroyed a UAV command post in the 14th Brigade of the National Guard using FAB 500 bombs with UMPK in the area of settlement of Krasnoyarskoye in DPR. Already we know what these bombs can cause. They are very Russia's FAB bombs, classed as 250, 500, 1,500, and 3,000, have become a big part of this war. Dumb bombs that now have guidance systems that they just fly to their sites. They are very accurate now. Their precision is very good, and they are very devastating. They are cheap, very easy to produce, and they now have mechanisms that make them go much longer, much further. I think they are sent off by the F-34s and F-35. I don't know which particular specific plane, but it is one of the Sukhoi planes that deliver this weapon system. They've shaped the war completely. We have another footage here now. This horrifying footage has been seen by the entire world. For years, Russia has been misleading the West with talks of commitment to peace and its desire to end the war, while at the same time carrying out a bloody terrorist slaughter in the Ukrainian cities every day. if that was an intended target, the Russians definitely know that there was a target there for them to go after. I will just do one or two stories before I think we can do this story about President Trump's talk with China. We are open for business. China can buy all the oil they want from us, either there or in the United States. Russia can get all the oil they need from us as well.
And they do like oil, even though they produce a lot of it. But China and Russia and everybody else is able to go, and we'll be open for business almost immediately. One thing I will tell them, and I will tell you, that we are open for business. China can buy all the oil they want from us there or in the United States. Russia can get all the oil they need from us, and they do like oil, even though they produce a lot of it.
Well, one thing is clear. President Trump had a meeting with all of these oil executives. The ExxonMobil chief executive said that they are not too keen to be moving back to Venezuela, but he's urging them to go and make investments in Venezuela. It seems like the Trump administration is trying to make a deal. They are much more compromising with the new administration in Venezuela. Somehow, let's see what will come off of it. But there's a lot of talk about what will happen and all that. Let me end with this story here now. This story is one that shows us some country we really don't get to see that much. That is North Korea. It says this is North Korea that Western leaders don't want you to see. Well, due to platforms like TikTok and X, we get to see these sites now. We get to see other places that the BBC and the CNN will never show you. Anyway, this is where I'll end today's X review for now. If you have any comments regarding the opinions I just expressed, please put them in the comment section. Do well to like and share. Until the next video, you have a good time.